Welcome back to the Racial Draft Podcast. I am your host, Michael Ford, joined by the I don't know, we'll call him the kid for now, Jared Kirschenbaum. Hey, Jared.
Hello, Michael. How's it going?
Going all right, going all right. And we are joined by the lovely, intelligent, and talented Julia Delbel. Julia, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
And if this is your first episode, I apologize. We are coming to the end of our season. And right on cue to mess up my intro is our guy, longtime listener, longtime returning guest, TJ Stukes, Mr. Stukes. How's it going? Tell the people, hey. Stukes is still connecting and the timing is off. Wait for it, listeners, wait for it. And he's there. Mr. Stukes.
Back like I never left.
Like you never left, indeed. And I will continue my intro. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I apologize. We are finishing out, in not so many words, the fourth season of the Racial Draft. And we are doing that thing that we normally do, and that is change the complexion of the comic book universe one draft pick at a time. But you missed all the draft picks, listeners, so go on back and re-listen to all of the episodes, all 25 episodes of season 4. Well, there was probably like 26, whatever. The point is, go back and listen. We've been doing it. We're gonna have a few episodes before we kick off season 5, but most of our episodes are going to be about nerd news. But before we get into nerd news, I'm going to do a quick rundown of how this season ended. It was a foregone conclusion who finished first. But for those of you who had their racial draft betting pools going, I'm going to let you guys know from 10th place to 9th place how things finally shook out. At number 10, the Polynesian delegation ended up with 767 points. At 9, the Swana Mena delegation ended up with 776 points. At 8, the Jewish delegation and their 995 points. At 7, the Native American delegation and their 1,094 points. In 6th place, at 1,118 points, the South Asian delegation. In 5th place is the white delegation right there in the middle at 1,183 points. And here we're in our top 4. The Southeast Asian delegation with 1,439 total points. 3rd place is the multiracial delegation at 1,516 points. And that brings us to our final 2, which is the runner-up, 2nd place, the Black delegation. You listeners can't see TJ celebrating on behalf of Blackness.
The Negro verse.
1,642 points for the Black delegation. And that leaves in first place, yet again, the Latinx delegation, 1,960 total points. 3-time champions. I'm sure Carlos will arrive to the sound of the champ is here. So that's how things shook out. We may go back towards the end of the show and revisit some, individual character performances. But now we're going to talk about some nerd news. And we had a pretty newsworthy week, so to speak. We might as well talk about the movie Prey. Did you guys all see Prey?
I haven't seen anything in like a long time. So no, I haven't.
You saw it back in the day?
Oh no, I haven't seen it at all.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember about a lot of things is what I'm telling you. Like I'm not motivated to do anything at all. And like I haven't done much lately, and I'm like off school, so I'm like not even thinking about it. I'm just like, oh, whatever.
So we will not spoil Prey for you. We will just
I'm okay if you do, because I don't know when I'm gonna get to it if I ever.
Oh yeah, wait, because you guys don't have Hulu in Canada, right?
Oh, we have it. It's like on Disney Plus. It's combined.
Oh, okay. So you could watch it. You just haven't. Well, Jared, you have seen it, right?
Saw it, loved it. Favorite Predator movie.
Stukes?
By far my favorite Predator movie.
All right. Well, you'll be happy to know it is the view uh, top view program, so to speak, in all of Hulu history. So that's good. That's good for people who want there to be more Predator content. That's good for people who want to watch movies in their homes. Maybe not so good for people who wanted to see it in the theaters, but we know that there was some contract chicanery, which made it more beneficial for Disney to release it on Hulu rather than release it in the theaters, where they would have to share their streaming rights with HBO Max. More on that later. But yeah, Prey was good. You should watch it. If you've already watched it, you should rewatch it.
Dare I say, is one of the best Fox films out there.
I mean, it's definitely one of the best current Fox films.
Yeah.
But let's see. Let's stay in the realm of Disney. We'll talk about some casting news. We got some casting news for Ironheart. There's an actor, Zoe Tarakis. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that name correctly. She will be playing an undisclosed but key role in the Ironheart series. Julia, do you have any insight into who she might be? Or
no, I'm sorry. I was just nodding for the listeners. I'm just like, yep, that's happening. I don't know anything about it.
Just in case the listeners could hear you nod.
What's the name? Caracas?
Yes, Zoe Tarakis with a T.
Tarakis.
Yes,
okay.
She is a my apologies. They are a non-binary actor, and going to be playing a key role in the series. So definitely looking forward to finding out who they will be playing in Ironheart.
Hair is phenomenal.
Moving on. Let's see if we've got other Marvel news. I mean, this isn't Marvel Studios news, but we can talk a little bit about let's wait for Carlos to show up and regale us with his championship strut. Wait for it. Mr. Freitas, how goes it?
That's me. How goes? It's going. Can you hear me all right?
You've got a little static on your end.
You sound like
okay.
You sound like Jarvis when he got killed.
You sound like Jarvis when he got killed.
Is there technical issues on anyone else's end?
Wait, say it again.
I'm having trouble hearing when Carlos speaks. Like if there's a really bad echo.
Oh yeah, I know there was a bad digital echo. He's going to rejoin us, hopefully.
I hope I didn't make him leave permanently.
You did. You shamed him into oblivion. Sorry, listeners, that was Carlos's last appearance on the Original Draft podcast. It's actually not. He'll be right back. However, we will talk a little bit more about some Marvel stuff. We're gonna have to talk about our friends at Madam Web. Madam Web. It seems that a certain site, a certain circus of cosmic, has broken potentially the story of who all of our mystery castings in the Madam Web movie might be. And again, I guess this still falls within the umbrella of rumors, so take whatever grains of salt you need. But according to Cosmic Circus, Dakota Johnson will be playing Cassandra Webb. Sydney Sweeney will be playing Julia Carpenter. Celeste O'Connor will be playing Maddie Franklin. Isabella Merced will be playing Anya Corazon. Emma Roberts will be playing Mary Parker, Peter Parker's mom. And Adam Scott will be playing Ben Parker, the aforementioned Uncle Ben.
Oh boy.
So let's see if Carlos will officially join us again, and then he can tell us as the new entrant. Carlos, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
we are talking about Madam Webb. And we are talking about the rumored, potentially confirmed character castings. Would you like the rundown, or can you remember who's playing who?
Yeah, no, give me the rundown. I only remember
Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, Sydney Sweeney as Julia Carpenter, Celeste O'Connor as Maddie Franklin, Isabella Merced as Anya Corazon, Adam Scott as Ben Parker, Emma Roberts as Mary Parker, and I think that's it so far. So what are your thoughts about these potential castings?
Honestly, I'm kind of hyped for this, which is shocking because it sounds, at the very least, it sounds interesting, you know.
All right, what about you, Julia?
I don't know. I don't really feel that invested in the what is it, SUMC or whatever.
we don't recognize their fake acronym.
Whatever. But yeah, this movie sounds interesting. I particularly like that Peter Parker's mom's gonna be in it. That'll be cool. Yeah, I'll probably end up seeing this one if it's any good, or if it's interesting or something. You hear good things about it. So yeah.
What about you, Jarrett?
Some quick thoughts. This seems to corroborate the Edge of Spider-Verse thing that I was hoping for, but I do gotta say, as a huge Adam Scott fan, loved Severance. Feel like this is a bit of a waste for him. If he does end up playing Uncle Ben, like really, I don't see Adam Scott as like a rootable Uncle Ben, as someone who you would get devastated over when he did die. I've been saying this for a little while. I've always wanted to see Sean Astin as Uncle Ben.
Well, remember, I mean,
that'd be great. Actually,
there have been a couple sources, but I know the most recent has been Daniel. Why am I forgetting his last name?
Greg.
No, sorry. Daniel Reitman, sorry. Daniel Reitman, noted scooper extraordinaire, also known as Daniel RPK on various internet platforms, has been saying that the storyline is going to be a very Terminator-esque story where someone is traveling back in time to prevent Peter Parker from being born. And that's where Mary Parker's role will be. And I suppose Ben Parker's going to be the guy who's trying to, I don't know, I hope they don't go all the way with Terminator and he turns out to be Peter Parker's dad, actually. I mean, if he is going to be if he's going to be Peter, they should have just had him be Peter Parker's dad. Then they could have just had Mary Parker and
Richard Parker.
Thank you, guys. Oof. Yeah, they could have just had Mary and Richard Parker as Peter Parker's parents, trying not to get murdered by whoever is trying to go back in time and prevent Peter Parker from being born.
Yeah, but now we get every scene. They're going to be like, Ben, you're just my stepbrother. But on a serious note, we might get to see Ben meet May Parker.
Only if May Parker is a super awesome badass, who actually is the key to this movie. Like the key to victory. I will only accept that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like Ben Parker gets tried for murder in Alabama, and it is May Parker who has to get him out, My Cousin Vinny style.
Wow.
Because it's got to be a D.H. Marissa Tomei, right? Like, it's got to be.
I mean, I don't know if Sony's got the range for that.
It's secretly that Aunt May spinoff that they've been dying to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They just have Aunt May show up in their darkest hour, and she, murks everybody, and then she's the hero, and then she says, Ben, with great power, with great responsibility.
We don't know who Zoja Mamet's playing yet, right? So
who?
maybe Zoja Mamet.
Oh, good call.
They haven't announced who she's playing. So maybe, they haven't announced anything, but it hasn't leaked who she's playing. So maybe she's going to be May.
Yeah, she's going to be badass May Parker.
Could be.
Do we know who Mike Epps is in this?
We don't, but he could be playing J. Jonah Jameson. Well, no.
That would be a lot of fun.
Isn't Maddie Franklin J. Jonah's adopted daughter? I know. Yeah. So one of the rumors, I'm looking at this right now, it has not been brought into the fold of what they're reporting, but Celeste O'Connor is African American, and some are speculating that Mike Epps might be playing her dad, but it would be cool if he was playing J. Jonah Jameson, young J. Jonah.
Well, J. Jonah Jameson is her uncle, I think.
Oh, he's her uncle. I thought he was her adopted father, but maybe he adopted her after her father died, but he was still her uncle before that.
They could streamline it to be that, maybe.
Yeah.
He could also be playing a cop who's a detective who thinks something's up and no one else on the force believes him.
He definitely could. But that's the role that Tyrese is going to play. Tyrese will be playing the dad of Tyrese's character in Morbius.
Mike Epps will be playing his pimp character from How High. That's what it'll be.
I mean, it fits into the Madam Web running joke that we've got.
Exactly.
There. So
every man needs a pimp.
Exactly. I approve, or at least competition from the pimp.
Oh my God.
But yeah, listen, I mean, when is it due to come out? It's still a ways away. From October 6th, 2023 is when this movie's coming out. So speaking of movies that are coming out in 2023, or are they?
We're talking DC, aren't
we? Actually, no. I'm gonna pull back on that. I'm gonna pull back on that segue, and we're gonna talk about still some good news from the DC world, and we'll talk about a movie that is definitely happening because the first movie made over $1 billion, and that is Joker. Help me out with the French. Folie à deux.
What you call me?
Yes. We have heard that, surprisingly, not killed in the first movie, although I still maintain that she should have been. Zazie Beetz is in talks to return for the Joker sequel. Your thoughts? I will start with you, Carlos.
All right. I mean, okay. So she kind of plays in that first Joker. She is kind of a Harley of sorts, in so much as the figment of Arthur's imagination. She is kind of the Bonnie to his Clyde until the mirage is revealed. So what role does she really have if we're going with a real Harley Quinn? I guess unless Harley kills her, something like that. But
so they brought her back just to kill her. That feels of a piece.
Yeah.
What about you, Jared? What are your thoughts?
I love Zazie Beetz, but I kind of I don't know if hated is the right word, but I kind of hated the whole twist where it's oh, she was his girlfriend, but she was not his girlfriend in the original Joker. I thought it was terrible. Thought it was very silly. So any remnants of that, I'm not thrilled about it.
What about you, Julia?
I mean, I don't really know what to think. I mean, I'm glad to see her and stuff. So I'm glad she had a job. I like Zazie Beetz. I just don't know what her role in this one could be.
Yeah.
Stukes,
sorry. Well, I'm gonna clear out in a second. I just want to get Stukes' opinion before I do that. Stukes, what are your thoughts about Zazie Beetz' potential return for Joker 2?
Not feeling it. I feel like they're wasting a good actor or actress, and I feel that this whole story is going to be in the realm of the Mario movie, clusterfuck.
Shots at the Mario movie, damn. All right. Well, okay. So I was pretty on the record that I certain thematic elements in the first Joker movie didn't work for me, even though I thought it was a well-made movie. I thought that her character was a particular misstep, and I think that one of the themes of the movie that didn't work for me was this idea that you had this person that was clearly depraved, clearly on a downward spiral, and clearly, if he's turning into the Joker, who was a character that is unredeemable and without any sense of morality, the reveal that this woman who was his was the object of his affection was all a figment of his imagination. There's only really two places that story can go, which is that she either, like you said, kind of does the Harley Quinn thing, like you said, Carlos, or she dies. And the fact that they sort of set up the scene and left it ambiguous as to whether she died for some of the movie, and then kind of cut away to be like, oh, he didn't kill her, as a way of sort of giving him a little bit of a redemptive quality, I thought was lazy and uninspired and actually cowardly on the part of the filmmaker to make him to leave him with that little element of morality when we all know that the Joker is supposed to be fully far gone and fully without morality, especially when you see at the end of the movie, it's heavily implied that he just killed the therapist just because, you know, just because. So anyone who would do that to just randos, also there's an undercurrent in the entire movie of people of color kind of wronging him, and it helps to sort of build the narrative of him being a person that has kind of twisted his sense of being a martyr, and he becomes this kind of messianic figure by the end. She's a wholesome, good person, and she's one of the few people who was good to him. Who better, in a sense of the narrative, who better than that person to die to illustrate just how villainous the Joker is? And the fact that the movie chose not to do that, to me, like I said, felt cowardly on the part of the filmmakers. So her coming back for this movie seems like they're either going to use her to further redeem him, which I definitely am not a fan of, or they're going to kill her as a way of solidifying the Joker, Harley, whatever partnership. And that to me is even more problematic, because it just compounds the problem of the first movie. But again, big fan of Zazie Beetz. Definitely think that she's going to act her ass off in whatever role they give her. But I just wish that she was in a better franchise, better movie series that can highlight what she brings to the table. Anyone want to add anything before we move on?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I famously on this show, I hate that movie. I really think it's a really irresponsible and just untimely. I just didn't need a movie about a middle-aged white incel maniac killer. I just didn't need it. And when I bring up critique of that movie, like on Twitter or whatever, I always include like the movie. It would be one thing if the movie was telling us like this guy's the villain. The movie is rooting for Joker the whole time, and people will usually come back at me saying like, I think you're reading it wrong. I don't think the movie thinks he's the good guy, but there is a reason he doesn't kill Zazie Beetz' character, and it's because from a film mechanics perspective, once he kills her, you can't root for him anymore because she's the pure good in the movie. So,
and if you and not to cut you off, but if you listen to both Zazie Beetz and the filmmakers' interviews about it, they say very clearly, well, he shouldn't kill her because she never wronged him. The implication being that everyone else that he did kill did wrong him, and then on some level deserved to be murdered.
Right. Exactly. And that's where I've always thought that the film was really irresponsible. I guess there are two characters in the film that's like they quote unquote don't deserve to die according to the the rules of the Joker. And it's Zazie Beetz' character, and it's the little person that he works with when he's the clown.
Mm-hmm.
Who, like he butchers that one guy, and then he lets the little person out. The little person can't reach the
Mm-hmm.
lock, the chain lock or whatever. Those two characters, it's like they show us deliberately that Joker won't kill them, or Arthur won't kill them, and that is to give us a sense of morality, so that when he kills someone, we're like, yeah, they deserved it. They were making fun of him. They made a joke at his expense, so they deserve to die. Like it's ridiculous, and it's really irresponsible.
Yeah, we're on the same page in that respect. But again, this isn't to say that I won't watch the next movie, and it isn't to say that I'm not hoping that the next movie is good. But very disappointed at the implications of this decision might be. So I'm going to kind of raise an antenna and be wary of where it could lead.
Yeah, I can already see if they go with the Harley as like his psychiatrist, which would give her access to the outside world away from Arkham, mm-hmm. and he's telling her about his neighbor, and now she can go kill the neighbor or something like that. Like that's. I hope it's not where it's going, but it just feels like she's in this movie to die.
Like what I'm thinking is like the movie will. I don't know. I can hope. I guess the movie will lead up to some type of Batman reveal, like year one Batman or year one Joker. Like starting something, some connectivity somewhere, because I'm not feeling the musical part.
Oh, you see, the funny thing is that the musical part is what I am feeling. Because
it's the only thing I'm interested in, just because it's so different.
Yeah, it's so different, and B, it's so out of left field that it feels of a piece with the Joker being, completely detached from reality. That in his world, it's a musical, and he's the hero of the musical, even if the reality is that he's gone a massive murdering spree. Like I think that there's a way that they could tell that story where it can be completely ridiculous but fun, but and they wouldn't have to necessarily pull back the curtain and take us down the darker incel route that the first movie took us. But staying in this DC realm and going from, I guess, one story about a Black woman to another story about a Black woman, yeah, we'll do that. Black Canary, as far as we know, is still happening, or at least is not happening, which in the DC WB realm, more on that later, is saying something. In recent news, we talked about Batgirl being shelved. We talked about a lot of projects in development being shelved. As far as we know, as far as the insiders know, they are still developing the Black Canary project. We presume for the big screen, but maybe not. What do you think, Carlos, about Black Canary projects remaining in development?
I think if it's not projected to come out theatrically, then it's probably not coming out. That's I'm just trying to read tea leaves like the rest of us, and it just appears to be that's the formula.
Yeah. What about you, Julia?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I want to be happy about this and excited, but like it's hard. Stuff I'm excited for keeps getting canceled. Like I don't have much hope for Zatanna either at this point, and that's not what I'm excited about.
Well, the thing with Zatanna, sorry to cut you off, but I mean, they do have Emerald Fennell, attached, and she's a big enough name that I could see them figuring out how to develop it for the big screen.
Yeah, but they've had other people who are big names attached to things and canceled them, so like it's hard. So we'll see. Hopefully that one comes out, and hopefully Black Canary does as well.
And this is something that I think I'd mentioned before. If they can find a way to bring Batgirl into the Black Canary story, especially given that we've already seen Black Canary in the Birds of Prey-ish movie. Maybe the continuation of her story is that she links up with Barbara Gordon and they have an adventure together. So that would be some way to kind of make some lemonade out of the lemons of the last couple weeks. Jared, do you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I really am hoping that if they do make a Black Canary show, like Carlos, I'm not really banking on it, but I'm hoping that they can bring in Leslie Grace as Batwoman.
So you're thinking, so you're thinking of a show rather than a movie?
Yeah, I'd say, I don't know what necessarily got me on the track of thinking it was a show. I could really see them going the route of the show if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But Journey Smollett is too good to waste, too good in the role to waste her in just one appearance in Birds of Prey. Like, she should be in many of these projects.
Right. I agree. Yeah, so that's Black Canary, but still waiting for news. Again, in development could mean a lot of things in terms of like how long it's going to take for these projects to materialize. But one project that has no worry in the world because it is already out, that would be Pennyworth, which, I mean, a lot of you might be asking yourself, that show's still on TV? It in fact is. And not only is it on TV, but it's going to HBO Max and it got an ad campaign and everything. However, it's good. The title's been tweaked slightly, and now it's being called Pennyworth, The Origin of Batman's Butler, which is, I gotta admit, The Origin of Batman's Butler doesn't feel like the right thing to add to your title to make me want to watch it. But how do you guys feel about Pennyworth on HBO Max?
I'm not watching it probably either way. I don't know. I wasn't watching before, so I'm not really enticed to catch up at all. And this new title doesn't really make me feel either way about it, because like I already knew Pennyworth was Batman's butler, so the title doesn't tell me anything new.
I gotta admit that if it was on HBO Max from the start, I might have given it a chance. The fact that we're on season 3, you're already asking a lot of me in terms of an investment. I probably won't watch it for that reason.
Yeah, adding the subtitle "The Origin of Batman's Butler" like feels a lot like them shoehorning a young Bruce Wayne and Alfred into the Joker movie. Just like, oh, look, it's the thing that you guys all like. Watch this now,
I mean, for me, it reminds me of SEO, which is funny because it's on HBO Max. It doesn't need the SEO anymore. But like, it's kind of like, well, if you just Google Pennyworth, you might not know that's Alfred, But if you do Pennyworth, Batman's butler, now people will know that it's tied to Batman. But you can do that in the trailer. You know what I mean? You don't have to change the title anymore. It's on HBO Max. You just put that on the main stage with a little bat logo, and you're good. You're good to go. But what do you think, Carlos?
It does feel focus grouped. Like it feels like people didn't know that Pennyworth was about Alfred, which I guess the average, uninitiated comic book, or I guess uninitiated to comic books, wouldn't necessarily know that Alfred's last name is Pennyworth.
Fair.
But I have never watched an episode of the show. Does it figure into the Batman mythos at all? Because if you're watching the show for the origin of or Batman's butler, but you never see Gotham or Bat anything, then you're just gonna have a lot of pissed off people who jumped in on a show in season 3.
So the thing about Alfred that is part of the canon is that like Alfred was like a spy before he was a butler. And like, the implication is that he was instrumental in, some kind of training of Bruce in his early days, if not, ongoing, helping Bruce along. So if the idea is that
we don't see bookend every episode with old man Alfred writing in his journal or something like that, or reading Bruce reading his journal after Alfred's died, or some such connection to the modern day, then Alfred Pennyworth could be anyone, any British spy. It doesn't have to connect.
I mean, yes, but we just talked about how Aunt May being a badass in our time travel Madam Web movie is something that we want to see. So
I missed the time traveling Aunt May conversation. Oh,
I mean, if you want to chime in, Randy has joined us, listeners. Feel free. But we're just talking about I mean, I got to make my joke because there wasn't room for it. There is not a unsubstantial amount of people who thought that Pennyworth was an It prequel.
Yes.
Like, when does he put the clown makeup on, guys?
I mean, like, the fact that they even made the show, it feels like farce. Like, I mean, it feels like a thing that was, it's parody. But I mean, I haven't seen the show. I don't know if it's good or not or whatever. If they made it work and it's on its third season, apparently, then good for them. But I mean, it feels utterly purposeless to try to it's Batman's butler, guys. Like, I mean,
how would you guys feel if they outright said that this was canon? Like that the Pennyworth show was in fact set in the same universe as the Batman films.
I mean, that I don't know if it really adds anything of quality. Like, unless it directly shows that it's going to be some thread that is that's going to actually play out in one of the future The Batman movies or whatever.
Man, it's hot fucking dookie butter. No,
I mean,
wow, Stukes came with shots.
My language is not quite that colorful, but I can't really say I disagree. I mean, it feels like, for what? What is the point?
Well, no, I was first of all, I wasn't thinking the Batman franchise. I was thinking more about if they did what Carlos said and they brought in Jeremy Irons for this season to be like, well, Bruce, I had adventures back in the day, and then they cut away to.
I mean, I feel like that. Okay, basically, what you accomplish there is even more fodder for the Restore the Snyderverse people to be like, see, we need more of the story because he's, got so much left to tell. Like, shut up. No, we don't need
what
that.
You do is you connect it to the George Clooney Batman.
Wow.
Alfred is on his deathbed. And Bruce is just kind of reading his journal sitting at his side. And then it's connected to the Schumacher verse.
Or you bring in Michael Keaton's Batman.
The Schumacher verse is what I'm saying.
It feels so pointless, and it's like you if there were to occur or something like that, it not only would it feel pointless, it would feel like we know that's what you did. Like, you didn't have this plan the whole time. Like, oh, we, gotcha. We, no, you knew that was happening. You tried to draw a connection there that previously was not there.
Who are the villains in this show?
I think he's just going on spy missions. I don't think he's actually fighting Batman villains. I don't know this to be true.
All of y'all are proving a point. This shit should have been 4 6-minute episodes.
Look, all I'm saying is that they've done 2 seasons of this show. Julia is waving goodbye, and she has left.
There she is.
She
take the Pennyworth slander anymore.
Like Batman, she waited until we turned our backs, and then she was gone. And you know who taught him? You know who taught him that trick?
Alfred.
not Ra's al Ghul.
Nope.
Was trained
it was Alfred all along.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if the villain in the Pennyworth series was like, he is a spy with a British secret spy agency, and they are continuously going up against these terrorists who are
the League of Shadows. You mean?
Ghul. Awesome. That's
right.
Cool.
The only way
but that sounds like what Gotham should have been, guys.
Yes, and it
exactly.
wasn't.
It should have been that, and I can fully agree with that. And I would go even further to be like, he finds out later that, oops, they're actually the Court of Owls. Like he like they're like tied in. I mean, you could do something like that.
But here's the thing.
That
I feel like on this show, we've had so many people on this episode of the podcast, and none of us have seen the show.
No.
Like
correct. And have no plans to see it.
And we are the target audience for the show.
Yeah. If not, clearly no one else is, because they had to add in, did we mention he's Batman's butler?
I mean, if we're the target audience, then they have missed the target, because nothing about this show makes me feel like, hey, I haven't seen that. I probably should go see that.
So here it is. This is what I'm going to do.
Is the culmination of a joke in Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Fair.
It's literally, they put it out there poking fun at the fact that DC can't make anything that isn't Batman related.
It is beyond parody.
Alfred gets his own movie, the Batmobile gets its own movie, everything gets.
And the Batmobile
correction, they're not getting a movie, they're getting a show. The Batman.
Right.
So no, but I'm gonna go around the room. You let me know what would you need to hear about Pennyworth to get you to check out an episode. I will start with you, Jared.
I literally don't think there is anything you could say that would make me watch this show.
Wow.
There's so many there's like just better stuff to watch.
I'm not saying, here's the thing. I'm not saying from the beginning. I'm saying if someone said, like, in this season of Pennyworth, X is gonna happen. Like, what could the X be to get you to watch the show?
It would have to be something like totally like stupefying. You would have to stupefy me to watch this show. Maybe continuing freaking Christian Bale's run as Batman. Like Christian Bale is coming back as Batman in this show.
Okay.
That's
the bar that you're setting.
I would maybe consider watching it. Maybe consider watching an episode.
Okay. Carlos, what about you?
I would need to know that when I go to fire up every episode on HBO Max, I'm getting the strong sexual content and not brief nudity, full nudity. Brief nudity is always like, oh, an ass cheek. No, I need full nudity and strong sexual content.
Okay.
And then I'd watch every episode. And I mean, yeah.
Watch is a very strong word.
Okay.
All right. Even without knowing what the cast was, but then you're just praying for some good casting.
So what I'm hearing, here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a throuple between Thomas, Martha, and Alfred.
Is Bruce a Wayne or is he a Pennyworth? We don't know. It was dark that night,
All right. What about you, Stukes? What would you need to hear to make you watch this show?
That Iron Man is coming back. That's it. There's nothing else.
Iron Man reaching across the multiverse into.
There's nothing else that can make me watch the show, because it's like, okay, we know Alfred, we know his value. Like, I don't want to know his backstory because it's not correlating with Batman. I'm good. Pass. Hard pass.
Okay.
Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler, Jarvis's friend.
All right. What about you, Randy? The
I
most
mean,
the most stickler against bat privilege. I'd love to hear.
Correct. Exactly. Like the way that you could win me over. Like I'm kind of piggybacking off of Jared's idea about like Kristen Bale. Like, I mean, necromantically raise Heath Ledger from the dead.
Oh,
and have
wow.
him be,
Wow. Guys.
like delve into the elder magics, the eldritch abomination, raise him up from the dead and have him be like part of the show. And then I would be like, hey, they put a lot of effort into that. I think I might give that a watch.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry to tell you guys that the correct answer was and always will be the Flash on the show, as played by Ezra Miller.
He emerges from the Speed Force in his little nightmare costume thing and warns Alfred that he's going to warn Batman in the future about something.
Yes,
I am the Red Death.
I mean, that's correct. That is correct, Randy. The Flash shows up on Pennyworth and tells him very pointedly, after he assaults him because Ezra Miller. But yeah, I mean, that's
he has to groom them though. He has to groom him.
No, he's grooming Bruce Wayne. But yes,
this conversation got very dark very quickly.
Even for me.
But yeah, that's my answer. My answer is that the Flash needs to show up, and we know that the Flash is immune to all rules around budgets and and constraints of network shenanigans. So if Ezra Miller said that they wanted to be a guest star on Pennyworth, it would happen. So that's what I'm aiming for in season 3.
You know what? I'll say this: if we were told that Pennyworth was part of the 10-year plan somehow, I mean, like, and as ridiculous as it sounds, like, because it's because it's taking place before our superheroes, Black Adam could exist in this, in this universe, or Dr. Fate could be there. Like there are ways to connect it. It doesn't sound like the show is very super powered. It sounds like it's pretty much a basic spy show. But if we were told like this series actually is important.
Okay, here's the thing. All jokes aside, a young Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
Are you guys on board? Young Amanda Waller? A romance between Alfred and young Amanda Waller?
I mean, first of all, how many decades ago does the show take place? Because I don't know if he's down with the interracial connection. But
I mean, I think it's the late 60s, early 70s.
I mean, it's the universe. It's in this universe, I can't say the words because that'll end the podcast. But in this universe, there are a lot of possibilities.
But I mean, like, they're genuinely, like, all jokes aside, like, no, there's no way that I feel compelled to tune into this show at all.
All right, well, listen, you heard it here first, Pennyworth producers. No amount of additions could get this panel of hardcore comic book readers and fans to watch your show. So you might as well do what Carlos said and just do full on content. Pennyworth.
I mean, even doing that, I would be like, hey, yeah, that's interesting. Let me go look for the gifts over on Tumblr of the good stuff.
All you gotta do is tell me, like,
no, you just give them the time, Randy. Just find out the time codes. You don't have to go to Tumblr.
Exactly.
You just, you make 2 announcements. Every episode will have strong sexual content and graphic nudity. And Christina Hendricks is Martha Wayne.
Ooh, now I'm definitely in.
Guess what show I watch every day? 5 to 10 minutes of.
That is great for the streaming numbers. David Zasloff, go ahead and book that. Go ahead and book that.
They're like, sir, our +7, our plus 14, like they just keep watching all of the same episodes over and over.
I mean, we may as well stay in the realm of DC. We're here. We're going to talk about it. Bad news first. It's all bad news though. But HBO Max is laying off. They're reorganizing. We knew this. We knew this was happening. We knew that Warner Brothers Discovery was trying to trim $3 billion by the end of the calendar year because they are $50 billion in the hole. So they are laying off and reorganizing 14% of the staff in HBO Max even. And they're getting rid of their reality team for Max because there's a pretty substantial reality team under the Discovery side. They are also, let me see, Sarah Aubrey, who was the current head of original content at HBO Max, will now focus specifically on on Max original dramas, which is good because a lot of people were speculating that Max originals were going away entirely. But she will work alongside the team, Gerhard Zeiler, Joey Chavez, and other people, in this corporate structure. But about 70 employees got the bad news in a memo today that they would no longer be working for the group. I would imagine that a lot of those 70 people knew, and they were leaking things to Variety. Additionally, Allison Abate, the head of Warner Brothers Animation, the film aspect. She was one of the people who brought Space Jam, League of Super Pets, Teen Titans Go, we didn't mention it, but Scoob, the Tom and Jerry movie, the Lego Movie 2. She was the executive. She's a 20-year vet at Warner's, and she will be moving on. She was not laid off. She is going to be moving on to probably somewhere where they're not in danger of laying people off.
Marvel.
What was that? Was that Stukes?
And it's allergies, man. It sounds, my sneeze sound like Marvel.
I mean, it would be great if the improvement in Marvel animation was forthcoming. Very quick transition. Speaking of Super Pets, I think we talked about this before, but we'll talk about it very briefly. Our friend The Rock, who we mentioned as the potential savior for everything DC on film,
for better or worse,
had a post-credit appearance in DC Super Pets because the hierarchy of animation is about to change. Jared, do you have any thoughts about Black Adam's dog?
The dog was great. The dog was fantastic. I'm so glad about the dog. It was whatever. Rock clearly seems to have the keys to the DC franchise now, and it seems like he's inserting himself wherever he can.
Pause. It was phrasing, whatever. He's inserting himself wherever he can.
The man played 3 characters in the same scene. Okay.
Yeah.
So he clearly has some influence at DC. I mean, recently it came out that he made sure that Black Adam wasn't introduced
in the Shazam movie.
Like, the man clearly can do what he wants at this company.
So I mean, we should talk about this because I didn't have it on the docket, but I'd like to poll the group as to whether for the benefit of the listeners, it was originally conceived that the Shazam movie would be a sort of your classic superhero movie where your hero has his origin story and the villain has the origin story in the same movie, and then eventually they do battle. But The Rock, in his infinite wisdom, was like, the hierarchy of origin stories is about to change. So I would like for Black Adam to not be introduced in this movie, I think it would be important for the Black Adam character that his story be given, as much space as possible. So they did this Shazam movie, which a lot of people loved. I was one of those people who loved it. But Black Adam is about to come out this year, which would be the opportunity for his story to be told. Do you think that The Rock was misguided for that? I'll start with you, Randy.
I do not. I think, like, obviously there's a lot of nuance to potentially cover here. I don't know every single thing about Black Adam as a character. But I do think that as a ruler of the nation and sort of like, having this sort of role, I guess, is like a sort of a Namor of the DC universe, where like, yes, he can do good, but he has kind of this really harsh and stark sort of way. Like, I mean, you would end up sort of minimizing him if he just was a villain of Shazam. So I get the feeling there. Like, obviously I don't want his prominence to be like, probably to the degree that The Rock wants him to be prominent. That's, I'm not like, oh yeah, Black Adam has spinoffs and blah, blah, whatever. But, I do feel like, okay, fine. You want to add more substance to the character, have him be, more relevant beyond just a kind of one and done villain. Fine, do that. Yeah, I hope that we kind of get, I'm trying to think of how exactly to phrase it, because I again, I don't want to seem bitter here. Like I'm if The Rock is what we need to get cinematic DC cinematic universe or whatever going, then fine, so be it. But yeah, I mean, I think the decision, at least at its inception, the idea that they should be separate movies was a good call. And we'll see how good of a call the rest of his plan is.
Okay. What about you, Stukes?
I agree with Randy wholeheartedly. I feel like it was a great idea because you're taking away from one of the better anti-heroes in DC. If you put him with one of the best DC movies, it's going to be too much. And let's be real, DC doesn't know how to manage too much right now. So,
right.
So with DC, with The Rock, I feel like he's doing, because he put a lot of money and time in this movie.
Yes,
so I feel like he wants to do it right, and I feel that is the right call, not putting him in the Shazam movie. But I think that he should have put like a reference, a small reference.
Yeah.
And I also feel like Dwayne Johnson, because he's an actor, he is doing what's best for DC.
Okay.
Because as much as
sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
One more thing. As much as we clown, Dwayne for being the same character in multiple movies, each one of those movies are hits.
Right. What about you, Carlos?
I mean, I think it's a nice story, but but I mean, is it also maybe just as likely that he was shooting Jumanji 2 and Ballers Season 4 and Hobbs and Shaw all at the same time that Shazam was in production? Like, I think that's just as likely. He was just like, you know what, I'm really booked right now.
While that's true, this was a guy who was cast in like 2007 to play the role.
Sure.
So he's pretty invested.
He was cast in I'm not saying he didn't want to do it. I'm saying he was cast in 2007, and the reason the movie never got made is because he was not free for more than probably 16 or 17 minutes from 2007 until Jungle Cruise.
Fair. That's fair point. What about you, Jared?
I agree. I think putting Black Adam in Shazam would not have been the right move. They kind of had to shortchange the villain in that movie to give more time for the heroes. So you kind of had a not so great Savannah in that movie. And you can only imagine how not great Black Adam probably would have been if he had taken Savannah's place. I think giving Black Adam like the room, I think giving The Rock the room to explore Black Adam in an origin movie is probably the right choice. However, I mean, you're introducing all these new characters. You're introducing Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, like all in that movie. I don't know if it was the right choice to have all of them in the movie as well, because they will almost certainly draw focus from Black Adam.
And I mean, you're introducing the whoever his antagonist is supposed to be too.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that's all that's true. Now I got to jump in though, because why? So my take on it is multifaceted. I do think that it would have been possible to make a movie where they could have given Black Adam and Shazam equal billing and equal weight.
Mm-hmm.
However, The Rock is such a much bigger star than Zachary Levi that the potential could have been there for The Rock to actually diminish Shazam's shine. We don't talk enough about that, but it could have happened.
Sure.
That's true.
It would have happened. It really would have happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In a way, waiting to put the two of them in a movie together is to Shazam's benefit. But here's the controversial take that I'm gonna lay on you. I don't think DC cares about Shazam to the extent that they, Shazam's marketability might be.
Oh, they don't. I fully believe that, because like we have Jeff Johns a few years ago introduced these new characters. I believe he's the one who did it. He introduced these new characters: Darla Dudley, Pedro Pena, Eugene Choi. For some reason, Freddy is now blonde in the comics. Whatever, blah blah blah. And those characters, those three new coincidentally diverse siblings that were added to the family, they still don't have a whole heck of a lot of backstory to them. They don't show up outside of the Shazam thing. I mean, I get the impression that Johns probably wanted to do something with them, but got caught up in doing other stuff, and so we kind of are just like stuck at the starting line and don't really have a whole lot of substance there. But
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just was saying, you can feel that. You can feel sort of the breath. I mean, like, obviously Shazam, Captain Marvel has had decades of stuff before those three came along. But if you are starting on this new mythos and not really referring too much to the previous iteration, there's not a lot of there.
Mm-hmm.
There just isn't.
Yeah. And to take it a step further and to take it into the realm of what we talk about here on the Racial Draft Podcast, we've mentioned before that DC isn't, great at creating lanes by which traditionally non-white characters can prosper. They are really stuck in kind of the old ways. Yeah.
And like tradition, and that's why you get so many like characters who sort of are multiple legacy holders. I'll put it that way, like a whole bunch of different Robins, a whole bunch of different Batgirls, and like alternate futures of who becomes Batman and blah blah blah. Like they're really stuck on that, and it's not to the benefit of any new coming fans unless you kind of shrink your expectations.
Yeah,
hard to root.
Go ahead, Stukes. Sorry.
Very, very hard to root for DC.
Yeah. So in a character like Black Adam, obviously this is a character. Obviously, The Rock is not, a Mena character or a Swana character. But an actor. So but the character is a Swana character,
Mhm.
and through him you can get other characters from that part of the world. You can, through him we're getting a justice society in the movies, at least, that is potentially more diverse than some of the other heroes that we've gotten.
Sort of, sorry, but
No, go
just
ahead.
like slightly kind of deviate a bit there. Um, we have, I guess, we had the opportunity. I'm not sure the degree to which this will actually pan out, but he has Black Adam has these two characters who are tied to him, who are also Middle Eastern, North African characters,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Adriana Tomaz
Mm-hmm.
and Amon Tomaz, who are respectively Isis and Osiris. That's the names they go by, and they have like these magical elemental kind of powers, which really are actually different from the typical sort of Shazam abilities. As far as I know, they're not actually like having a role in the Black Adam movie. Like, I guess as
Well,
far
but
as
we know that Adriana Tomaz is going to be in the movie.
well, I'm saying as far as like the empowerment part, like
Yeah,
the
but I
say
mean,
my name and gain my powers.
fair enough.
part of it.
However, we didn't know for sure that
Mhm.
the kids were going to get their powers at the end of the first Shazam movie.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's fully within the realm of possibility that we could have a moment where at least Adriana Tomaz could get her, they're not going to call her Isis. That's 100%
Right.
not going to happen. Right. But like, she could get her sort of like Shazam-ish powers, and then
sure
DC
hope.
could get themselves a Swana hero on the big screen, whereas kind of Marvel got their Swana female hero on television.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's a competition per se, but like, Sarah Shahi is a known commodity. She's an actor that a lot of people
forget the competition part. They could use the win, frankly.
Right.
Like
Right.
they're having a really hard time beating the racism allegations.
Yeah. So, I mean, all that is to say that we know that in comics over the last few years, they've been doing a lot to promote Black Adam. Like you said before, like as kind of like their Namor, or Namor, if you will, if you're, focused on an MCU. They've created a lane for, an anti-hero that could become popular outside of the auspices of the Justice League. And why wouldn't they continue to put resources into that, in the hopes that the combination of the Rock star power and not in not so many words, a fresh-faced protagonist that is not a white guy, could lead to successful launch of a new hero in the DC universe. Like, I'm not against it. I'm not mad at it. I mean, I'll be mad at it if the story's bad, but I'm not mad at it as currently composed.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I'm not I'm not particularly feeling a reason to doubt the good potential here. Like it is, they want to introduce the JSA, they want to introduce, and have outright said that, oh, we actually are hoping that this leads to like the JSA and Eldest Podge, obviously Hawkman to be a thing. So like, yes, okay, all of whatever they're showing us sounds good.
And we all have to manifest. We can all collectively manifest that right now. Sterling K. Brown as Mr. Terrific in the DC cinematic universe, whatever they choose to call it. That just should happen.
Yes, I feel like there's a lot. I mean, there's potential for a JSA show and like I would say a JSA movie and then like an All Stars show. or something like that. I mean, there's so many different characters in there. You can't be like, I don't feel like they would be shortchanged, or I don't feel like they would be spread too thin if they were to like kind of expand the franchise. They got Stargirl, and that's lovely, that's cute, but I mean, to have sort of the bigger budget and more of the not so much focus specifically on Stargirl. No shade to her, but a little bit of shade. But just kind of like there is a family element, and there is a sort of classical swashbuckly element there that the show Stargirl doesn't quite specifically have yet. That the feeling I'm getting from the Black Adam movie, they lean into that. It's excellent. So very much sort of the
Yeah. Jared, did you have something else to add?
No, I think Randy said it really well. Summed up my feelings pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, that's where, we'll do more. We're definitely, I'm sure, the DC WBD ongoing saga will continue. We may as well. Let's do it. Let's talk a bit. Let's talk a bit about the Flash, guys. There was a story, I think it was a Variety story, which talked about the different courses of action that WBD could take with respect to the Flash movie that's due to come out June. It's June, right, of 2023.
I don't even know anymore.
Recall.
Yeah. So the three courses of action, the three paths, if you will, on the flow chart. The first path would be Ezra getting professional help on the path to mental health. In tandem with that would be Ezra talking through, probably with Barbara Walters or whomever, about their challenges and explaining themselves, and hopefully getting public opinion back on board with regard to healing. That's pathway number one. Door number one.
It will not be Barbara Walters, because we will never get past the first question. Who do you mean they, them?
Fair enough. Door number two would be presumably no more crimes committed by Ezra Miller, but Ezra Miller chooses not to get professional health and do the whole interview circuit, in which case promo for the Flash happens without Ezra, in which case it'll either be Michael Keaton, maybe it'll be a little bit of The Rock, it'll be it's the Flash, but who's playing the Flash? Not important. Unimportant. And door number three, of course, which many people have speculated, would be no Flash movie.
Before you go on, I mean, Variety has released a story. They're going with door number one.
What do you mean?
Ezra Miller has released a statement.
This is breaking news?
Breaking news. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life.
Woo! The multiverse is safe.
Yeah, no. Sorry to burst your bubble there. I'm pretty sure that sounds super contrived, first of all.
Of course.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be nice if you could just go out and be like, hey guys, I'm sorry I was choking folks and picking fights with the Klan, and I mean, that doesn't make any of this stuff go away.
I mean, have you studied PR, Randy? I mean,
I mean, yeah, but the fact is the sort of the fact of them being a queer person and the fact of our socio-cultural nonsense tomfoolery that's going on in the nation with the association between LGBTQ people and grooming, you're not going to get that out of the news cycle. You're not going to get that out of the public eye. They're not going to be done with that up until and beyond the movie coming out.
Here's why I sort of disagree. The grooming story was big on Twitter.
Yes.
But never really broke through into the mainstream.
And I wouldn't even say the grooming story was big on Twitter, but when you read it, it was like, there's more to this story. Like, whether it's positive or negative, it just felt like, this doesn't feel like the New York Times wouldn't have gone to print with this story. Like, it just doesn't, it seems very incomplete.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Rolling Stone is a reputable outlet. You know, like we're not gonna say that the story wasn't properly researched and that there wasn't good journalism involved, but just that it's not this kind of story in that form that hit the zeitgeist to the same extent that other news stories do.
Well, I will happily be wrong if Ezra goes and genuinely gets the help that they desperately need, and that this is all not just like lip service. Like I genuinely, I don't want to be like, we're at the red carpet and then somebody tries to go up to interview them and they're like, you know, just out of the box, you know. So I hope that the help is actually there, and I'm happy to be wrong about that, but I can't feel confident that that's going to be the case, just because we see how chaotically badly WDB has handled just.
I will say that, you know, a lot of people were speculating that there's no way Ezra's going to, you know, commit to the course of action that, you know, that the corporate overlords would hope that they would. And it seems like, at least right now, Ezra's taking the steps that the corporate overlords would want them to take.
I will fully cop to the fact that we are very much in chaotic times. You know, we are purely speculating here. Like, we have no basis of, like, you know, we thought that the Batgirl movie was going to be a thing, and like it's not happening now. So I mean, we don't like, there's no ground that we could sit there and be like, yeah, that's definitely, you know, that's for sure going to happen. Like,
no. This is not me saying that for sure in 10 months time this movie is coming out. But this is me saying that, you know, if I'm Doctor Strange right now and I'm looking at the 12 million possible outcomes, I'm at least saying, like, as of now, we're not in one of the storylines where we lose.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not to say that we won't be in one of the timelines where we lose.
This is definitely a step that I did not expect. So yes, I'm not fully cynical of the possibility, but yeah, I'm kind of treading lightly here, because it seems like they're trying to do the damage control and still like push forward, like, no, we're not going to cancel this movie, which it never really seemed like they were going to cancel it anyway. But I am very wary, and I wouldn't be surprised if, especially like if Ezra got on the wrong foot with somebody kind of higher up in terms of their profile, I wouldn't be surprised if something dropped and, you know, we got to shift expectations yet again.
Fair. You know, we'll this is an you know, an unfolding story that things can change by the time you listen to this, listeners,
Right.
Ezra could have committed another crime. But Jared, do you have any thoughts?
This is like unprecedented. Like,
Yeah.
they should have gone and gotten help like so long ago. That it feels like now with this statement, it just feels like a statement. And nothing more than that. I really hope they get the help that they need, but I'm on the side that they like this shit doesn't fly and they should cancel the movie. I know that's like a really extreme stance, but like Ezra has to face like some sort of accountability.
I will say, not necessarily even as like a rebuttal to that. I feel like in a better timeline, had we had our actual Barry Allen moment and some timey-wimey shenanigans were afoot, and we got to the better timeline, Ezra would have already kind of undergone the mental health help by the time we actually heard about the first kind of incidents outpouring. Like
True.
that would have been, I wish that had been kind of the situation rather than Warner Brothers trying to kind of sweep stuff under the rug, and then now the rug is too full of crap that they can't sweep anymore. And now they're gonna have to face consequences. Like, I hate that we're at this point where we can't even really root for the actor because their behavior has gotten so out of hand. They've, hurt people, threatened people, done all kinds of scandalous stuff that needs to be addressed. And like it's just ridiculous that we've gotten to the point of like criminal stuff that needs addressing. And honestly, as much as I of course we all like the movies and like the the nerdiness of it all, but I can't really say I would be too mad if they just were like, nah, we're gonna just do something else.
No,
so here's my unpopular opinion alert. Unpopular opinion alert is that while I am totally on board with the idea of Ezra facing consequences, canceling the movie isn't just consequences for Ezra.
Yeah.
You already got paid.
No. Well, beyond no. I mean, we can talk about the pay factor. Consequences in that respect. I'm talking about all the other, the same way when we talked about Batgirl, we didn't just talk about like our fan base, being upset that the movie didn't get made. We talked about all the people who put in hard work on this movie and it's never seen the light of day. From what we understand about this movie, it's good. Now maybe it's not, maybe it's all bullshit, but from from every source that that wants to talk about it, the movie has been testing better than most DC movies, and everyone seems to love it. So
it clears that very low bar.
So the thing is, like, does Ezra's transgression overshadow all the other people who the directors, the screenwriters, the other actors in the movie, and make it so that their work should not be seen or appreciated?
So to that end, how's about we have the movie come out and it's released and everybody gets paid and makes whatever box office earnings it makes, but then like you draw up a new contract that whatever money you get paid for this movie and any other future appearances or whatever with Warner Brothers, with the DCEU, has to like a significant portion of that money has to come out toward your like criminal restitution crap.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I would, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Like, but I'm just saying that to the people that are saying that the way to hold Ezra accountable is to not put the movie out, they should at least consider the possibility that a lot of other people's careers and livelihoods would be negatively affected by that decision. It's not just a punishment to Ezra. It's a punishment to everyone.
But you know
I mean, no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. To that end, though, like DC's pussyfooted around this for like way too. Or DC and Warner Brothers, they pussyfooted around this for way too long. I'm like, I want them to say something to the effect of like, what Ezra has done is not all right, and like lay out a plan for like how Ezra will be held accountable.
I'm not entirely sure you should hold your breath for that though.
Like, I'm not.
Yeah, because like
I think this is probably the closest thing to that.
Right.
Ezra making a statement.
The fact that we even got a public thing said is like sort of a little minor miracle. Like I genuinely feel like their whole plan was like batten down the hatches and we see how far this raggedy little ship can survive in this big freaking storm. Like that was kind of, they were hoping that they could just weather the thing. And now that they see that they can't, they're like sort of scrambling for sort of the path of least resistance.
Right.
Hey, two questions.
No, Stukes, I want to ask you a question real quick, but then you can ask. So from your position as an actor, if in the hypothetical world where you would have worked on this movie, what's your perspective as an actor into like all the things that we have been saying?
It's like it's a double. I think it's a double-edged sword because, like you said, what about all the other people that worked with it? What about all the other careers? What about the producers, the sound people, the extras, that put in time in, like as much effort as Ezra did and less like no fuck ups, and the actor side is tough because you want the movie to come out because the collective, when everybody saw the trailer, everybody's like, oh shit, this movie might be really good. But the thing is like you don't want to reward like behavior like that. And I feel like he should have
they go on.
I mean, Ezra should really truly, if he felt any remorse, give a large portion of his earnings, because he's gonna get money on the back end. Because let's be real, Flash is like Spider-Man, Flash is like Batman, is gonna make some money. I think his money on the back end should be completely disqualified from his hands.
I think that there's a world in which DC and WB could have a conversation with Ezra where that could happen with respect to their earnings, for sure.
I feel like
especially if the argument is that Ezra's not going to be recast.
Right.
Exactly. And to answer your question, I feel that it's horrible because you're a face of something, and when you're the face of something, you're expected to be treated in a higher caliber. So you can't treat people less than your caliber.
I feel like basically that's sort of the only solution. Like not just kind of expecting Ezra to do it out of the goodness of their heart, but like draw up a legal thing as like, if you want to show up in any more DC anything, then you gotta pay some kind of something out of your pocket. We're gonna put a dent in your wallet to make sure that you think twice before you like get super drunk or whatever, or go out and do some kind of nonsense. Like, think about that. You have to, because you can't have just like this word of honor thing. I mean, people do that all the time, and then you fall off the wagon or whatever and get back to using whatever substances, hanging out with the wrong people, doing all kind of crazy stuff. And it's really important that you make sure that there is, I think everybody would agree here, that there is a tangible consequence, and not just kind of a unwieldy consequence that hurts everybody, but specifically targeted to the person who's being problematic.
Right. Because MTF and Randy, think about this, right? Carlos, you too. Think about this, right? When you hear Ben Affleck, right? You hear Batman, right? He's under that immortal image now.
Yeah.
when you hear Flash, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Ezra, I am hoping that
But you understand what I'm saying?
I hope that the long arc of history bends toward doing Barry Allen some better justice than that. But yes, I get your point.
Stukes,
so
you said that you had a couple questions. I would love to hear those questions.
Okay, there's going to be a two-part question. One question, but two parts. When was the original release date, and when is the Flash coming out?
So, the Flash is coming out in June of 2023.
And what was the original release date?
I don't know when the original release date was.
Sorry, it's 2022.
I thought they said 2016 was like the original.
No, I mean
thing
like
that they were trying to release
of the last year. I mean the last year.
Oh,
Like when was that? When was that release date?
Oh, the 2022 release date?
Yes.
Hold on a second.
Year, wasn't it?
Was it October?
For some reason, I wanted to say that, but I don't know.
July 1st,
July, okay.
2022.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, we could have been like in the theaters, The Flash and then Love and Thunder, like right after one another.
Wow. Okay, the second
easily coming out going, you know what? The Flash might have been better.
I hate to agree, but I agree.
It's possible.
Well, we're already pegging the unreleased Flash movie.
I'm saying it's possible.
So the second question: do y'all think, honestly, for real, that if the movie comes out and suffers like true backlash, you think they could truly recover?
So here's the thing: what do you mean by backlash?
Okay, so they boycotted movies for having CGI animals get beat up. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like the little things like that. But
sort of, I guess what you're saying is like kind of the word of mouth really has a substantial backlash and doesn't really let the movie make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm asking. If they make less than what expected, they recover?
To that, I will say my quick little 2 cents. The DCEU has really never quite gotten its footing, and it's been suffering from that this entire time. Sort of constantly, like, everybody, and rightfully so, criticizing the things that sort of fell short in these different portrayals. And at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, because we had the X-Men movies for a long time, and every time you went into that movie, like an X-Men movie, you were like, these characters are not the characters I was expecting to see.
Not to mention the last couple X-Men movies, everybody knew what Bryan Singer was all about.
Yeah. So I mean, they ended up, like, I guess if I recall, they were like sort of progressively made less and less and less over time, which I think that might be the case. But I don't think it's gonna be totally to the degree of like a flop. I really don't.
So here's the thing. I think that the worst case scenario, the worst case scenario is that not only does Ezra do something like awful that hits mainstream headlines, but the movie's also bad. But that's the worst case scenario, right? I think that even if the movie underperforms, if it's good and most people who see it think it's good, I think that the studio gets the ability to scapegoat Ezra and say, well, we're going to have to recast. But the attitude towards the movie will still be positive, and the attitude towards whatever direction that the DC films are going to be going will still be positive. I think that the bad situation is when the movie is if the movie is bad, and people are like, wait, you coddled Ezra, you protected Ezra for this, like that's the worst case scenario. But if the movie's good and it just doesn't make as much money, as we expected, or as they expected to, that's not that bad, because creatively people will still kind of think that DC's heading in the right direction, that the DC films are heading in the right direction.
Venom managed to do pretty well, and people still were kind of like, it wasn't great, wasn't wonderful, and they still went ahead with the second one. So
yeah, but Venom like super overperformed.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a safe space to talk about the fact that Aquaman was not
this is
universally loved.
A semi-safe space. tread lightly. Proceed.
No, here's the thing. I'm not saying that Aquaman was a bad movie. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't $1 billion you expect.
I can agree.
You expect to be making $1 billion movie, and I know it's fashionable to criticize Zaslav, but if I'm going to pull up this number, domestically, that was not where Aquaman made most of his money. They made a lot of money in China, and China might not be as reliable of a box office source as it has been in previous years, especially back in 2018. If Aquaman performs comparably, give me a second, sorry. If it performs comparably domestically and doesn't overperform anywhere else, it only made 334.8 million domestically. Good number, but that is significantly lower than half of its worldwide take.
Yeah.
And if it performs comparably domestically, it may only make 700, 750 total worldwide. Wow. And good number, especially in the sort of the pandemic world, but it's not going to have that sheen of it made $1 billion and therefore it's unassailable.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah, look at Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder's probably going to end up in like the high 700s, but it's not viewed favorably. And I think it's gonna end up with more money, like making more money in the box office than Thor Ragnarok. But yeah, so it's currently, I think it's currently at $720 million overall, but not particularly well reviewed. If Aquaman gets similar box office numbers, I don't think it's going to be as protected from middling reviews. Not to say that would be a flop, but just to say that it will probably disappoint.
Well, to a similar point, I will say that I do believe the Flash movie is I'm hearing nothing but good things about it so far, and especially from critics, which apparently their opinions matter for some reason, and they've had we've had previous movies where they sort of ganged up against it, and then the lower we mere mortal fans have kind of been like, no, what are you talking about? This is a good movie. We love this movie. And so for them to like it, I sort of feel better a little bit, kind of, because there is sort of that hope that critically it is formally treated as like, oh, a really good movie, and then also we like it too. Like we kind of get that perfect storm of that goodwill, and also Ezra gets the help they need and does the restitution and all of that stuff, and still hopefully gets recast, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
Then
but I guess what I'm saying is that
a brighter future to look forward to.
I guess what I'm saying is that if the Flash, with all of the controversy and with everything that happens to Ezra, ends up with $700 million worldwide,
right?
I think that a lot of people would be like, "That's a win." Cue the Hulk gif. I see this as an absolute. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think that that's how the narrative.
Because there's a lot working against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whereas, Aquaman 2 could make $700 million, and the narrative on that is, what the hell, it fell off from the original Aquaman movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all that's to kind of come back around on the idea that that's even more of a reason that Warner Brothers would want to keep on with respect to the Aquaman movie. With respect to the Flash movie, because if it's well reviewed and it makes $700 million thereabouts, then the narrative at Wall Street and in the media, the Hollywood reporters of the world are going to be, all right, they've righted the ship, they know what they're doing, and their 10-year plan is in full effect.
Right.
But if the Flash movie doesn't come out at all, then they're all the way back.
They're back to square one.
Yeah.
Because it will give sort of proof to the ongoing idea that this chaos is not just growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
So from a selfish standpoint, I want to see Michael Keaton as Batman, and I want to see Sasha Calle as Supergirl, and I like Ezra Miller on screen, and I enjoy watching Ezra Miller as the Flash, kind of the high point of the Justice League movies for me. And I want to believe that Ezra, from all accounts, was going through something mental health related on set. There were accounts of Ezra's, feelings of worthlessness and despair and stuff like that on set. Never caused any trouble on set, but there were accounts. So the idea that there is some sort of mental health crisis going on it tracks and it makes sense. And if Ezra is seeking help, apparently, from what I heard, Ezra is living with their mother right now. Has kind of come home and is perhaps finally ready. Because that's the thing, is we can say why didn't they go seek help right away?
Yeah,
you got to be ready for it. You have to be, willing to accept help.
Ready and willing, yeah.
And if you're going through some sort of manic episode or whatever that was, because it got really weird. The driving around with saying the KKK was looking for him and that he was going to hunt the KKK in certain towns. What was that? So I'm willing to buy I was going through a mental health crisis.
And honestly, I think that most people in the mainstream culture, if Ezra comes off as sympathetic on an interview, are going to lean towards buying it. And
honestly, who among us in the past 2 years has not gone through a mental health crisis? People have gotten nuts in all aspects. Get on a plane and see how wild people just are now. So Ezra, add on top of that the privilege of wealth and the sort of entitlement that comes with being a movie star, and and then, you can game it out exponentially. I hope that they're seeking help. I hope it's, even if the statement does feel like Warner Brothers said, you need to say this, or else this movie is going away.
Or we wrote it up and you kind of sign your name.
Well, exactly. Legit. That, like, I would imagine that they went to Ezra's agent and said, you need to put this out. This is what legal has written up, or legal and PR have written up. You're going to put this out, and best behavior. And if there's any other arrests, we're scrapping the whole thing. And by the way, if that Rolling Stone article about grooming children is true, like, there's no forgiving that. There's no coming back from that.
Right.
So I am willing to believe Ezra Miller was going through something and hurt a few people, although Ezra Miller did not kill anyone or anything. It does appear to be like kind of stuff that you would expect of a younger person, not a 29-year-old, but there's like felonies.
I mean, not to, like, this, these are not my words, but, like, some Hollywood insiders have talked about, like, quote unquote, like, bad boy behavior of other Hollywood people, when they have drug problems or alcohol problems, and the types of things that they get into, and that that eventually the studio either intervenes in, or then they get run out of Hollywood. But it's not so far out of, some of these stories, I won't say all of them, are not so far out of the realm of the kinds of stories we hear about out of control, Hollywood people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, we are also grossly understating, if not underestimating, America's willingness to forgive a white person who presents as a man.
Yeah.
They will be forgiven for everything.
I mean, I didn't understate it. I was trying to, like, tiptoe around it.
No, don't tiptoe around it. Don't do it.
Well, I say that because it's so glaringly obvious. Like, we had this whole news cycle thing, and still consequences are afoot from Will Smith standing up and defending his wife. Yes, violence isn't the answer unless you ask the wrong questions, but still, there is a thing. Like, he's being excluded from opportunities now.
Yeah,
we have not heard. But we know,
but I believe that Will Smith will be back.
Well, I do too. But I'm saying I haven't felt any sort of consequences in terms of Ezra. Like, we basically, like, even with Chris Pratt, we had, like, he has kind of the bad PR of, like, oh, he's aligned with this homophobic church. Later turned out to be false. But still, there was no, like, oh, we're no longer working with Chris Pratt. Oh, he's lost this, hosting gig, or he's not doing this show or this movie. Like, no, there's still kind of, like, poo-pooing at him, but then kind of begrudgingly, quote unquote, begrudgingly, still letting this person cook. And that is very obvious in my face. And, I'm glad that it was pointed out by someone other than me this time.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll take it a step further. Like, we haven't heard a lot of people in Hollywood say that they were scared of Ezra.
Right. There was no, like, abuse language being thrown about, and, like, traumatic sort of language being like, oh, he's so, like, no, they kind of, I honestly, I haven't heard much of anything at all.
I would say from the stories that have trickled out,
typically the stories that have come out have been from, like, the people who have actually been attacked. Right. Like, that's basically what I've heard. So,
and I would say that the common thread appears to be Ezra Miller appears to have a drinking problem. Like, that appears to be the issue. It appears always to be around bars.
If not a drug problem.
If not a drug problem, but I mean, like, stealing bottles of alcohol, choking someone out at a bar.
At a bar.
You know, like it's always
Getting into
alcohol. So
getting into the
if
fight
not
at the
drugs,
karaoke thing
definitely
was
alcohol.
the karaoke thing was a drinking incident too, right?
So Ezra Miller appears to have some sort of drinking problem and is probably any number of mental health issues, and drinking is not going to help any of them. And let's, you know, like this minus the legal infractions, this is where Robert Downey Jr. was before Iron Man. This is why casting Robert Downey Jr. was such a risk.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at when I was saying the Hollywood insiders look at this as like what people like Robert Downey Jr., people like, you know, some of the other Hollywood stars who had to go away for a little bit, but then came back, you know, stronger. Jared, do you have a point? Sorry.
Yeah, but the difference between the two is Robert Downey Jr. went to jail and got himself cleaned up, which is what Ezra Miller has yet to do. And it doesn't really seem like they're going to be doing that. Like, I have nothing that tells me that he is, besides this thing that they just put out, which really does seem like a statement from legal. I have no indication that they're going to go seek help.
But what I would jump in and say is that Robert Downey Jr. was one of the more extreme cases.
Yes.
With a lot, like if you look through Robert Downey Jr.'s blotter, like there was a lot. Yeah. Like there was a lot. Like even somebody like, his name is escaping me right now. Like Rob Lowe, right? Like Rob Lowe's got stuff.
Really? I actually didn't know that.
Rob Lowe had a fateful night in, I believe, Paris, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
What I will kind of interject here and say, we're not seeing consequences, but hopefully, maybe prayerfully, this is the start of them. I mean, just because having the thing be released at all, it may not be satisfactory to the completion of, like, you know, we may not see the fullness of like consequences that we hope for and expect, but hopefully it does not get to the degree of like needing to actually do like throw this person in jail. Right. Hopefully it doesn't get that far. Like we kind of had a couple of things here and there that were jailable, but okay, hopefully we're not to the point where like they run over somebody with the car or you know, do something, you know, that's like jail worthy.
Right. Exactly. Like if Ezra had endangered someone's life with you know, either drunk driving or violence, or again this issue with kids, which I, honestly, like, you can the reports just like there's just so many questions left. Right. It's really amazing that there haven't been other news outlets like following up, getting something. Exactly. But because I would like more clarity on what's going on there. But it does just kind of feel like, you know, I'm personally not a person who believes in putting drug addicts in prison to remedy the drug addiction. Right. But, you know, if they've done something jailable, obviously, then, you know, you serve your time. Yeah. But up to this point, I believe the only like felony thing was the theft of some liquor bottles. Right. And everything else has been like misdemeanors that they've paid fines for.
And that's the thing. Even the felony thing, I looked it up. You can pay a fine and not do jail time. So chances are the fine is going to be paid.
Now, that said, I would bet money at this point that Ezra will be checking into a rehab facility, if even just part of this PR campaign.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's just a matter of, again, you know, we talked about this before, but I'm gonna say it again. It's about buying time, you know. And if Ezra does a couple months, 90 days in a rehab facility, gets out in time for the new year, more than enough time to promote this movie for the better part of next year.
Yep.
Assuming that Ezra keeps their nose clean, and doesn't get in any trouble. What will happen is that people will Google Ezra Miller, and they will see Ezra had some stuff, went to rehab, got some help, but Ezra's on the straight and narrow. And for most people, that's going to be enough.
Yeah.
I will sort of cap off my own personal feelings by saying I don't have, you know, I've heard some folks on this topic, and you can tell they are out for blood. They want like the worst possible whatever, and they just, anything that is alleged, they believe it, and they're just like, oh, this guy, you know, of course, misgendering, like, oh, he's blah blah blah, he's this and that and the other.
Yes.
Like, I genuinely want for this person to get better. And, you know, again, like similar to when Ben Affleck was talking about how he's no longer trying to be Batman, and you know, had his own drinking and personal issues that he was dealing with. Like, I can't help overlooking the real life implications of it. Like, I can't just kind of reduce it to the cape, you know, stuff going on. It's not just that.
Mm-hmm.
I want this person to get better. I want the restitution to be paid to the folks who their actions have impacted. And I hope beyond hope that this is the start of that. And, you know, I hope that it's not just kind of giving the platitudes and the lip service. I really truly hope that this experience is like, okay, fine, they finally get, you know, this was kind of like, because they're in the movies, it is a public eye shown on them that you have these problems. You highlighted these issues and they need to be addressed, and they are addressed now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and you know, that's a good place to leave it. Like, obviously, we've got a lot of time before this movie comes out, so there's more than enough time to either address the lack of Ezra news, or the or address the continuing Ezra news.
Yeah,
DC will put this movie out by Christmas. They'll be like, look.
That would be the plot twist of plot twists, but it's like, we've reshuffled the calendar. Flash is coming out right now, next week.
quick, while we have enough days without an Ezra incident. Let's just make sure we get it out.
The timeline of the DC universe is about to change.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man. All right. So we got a couple more stories that are a little bit lighter. We're gonna tackle them one by one. Black Doctor Who.
So
all right,
many
Randy.
jokes running through my head. Damn it.
Yeah, come on, Randy. Black Doctor Who.
I don't even know how to express how happy and excited and just freaked out I am. You know, we always kind of had, since New Who came out, this sort of conversation of like, there was commentary here and there. It's like, I believe it was David Tennant who was like, oh, well, I'm not ginger. And then 12 was like, oh, well, you know, hope I come back as a woman or something like that. It's like, and so we kind of got like teases here and there of like sort of deviating away from the white guy, and within the span of like these last few years, like we have a white woman, we have a black woman, and now a black man. And so, okay, yes, wins for diversity, but the particular guy they got is you know, someone who is really just has a very dynamic personality, and just, I'm very much here for just the hype and the love around his casting, and it's just so much that you know, there's a lot to be excited for. I've kind of, I don't know, maybe I've just blocked all the trolls, but it sort of felt like it was unanimous love just across the board, waiting for Shuji Gatwa to finally, you know, be the Doctor.
Oh, you definitely have the trolls blocked if you found unanimity on Twitter.
I wouldn't say unanimous, but like it, I will say the positivity has been overwhelming to the point where you kind of, a couple of the usual suspects, but it wasn't like overwhelming on the timeline at all.
Yeah. So Shuji Gatwa, the rumor is that he will be filming his first Doctor Who content coming in November for next year. The new season won't be until 2024, I believe. We gotta say the combination of potentially both a Black Doctor and a Black John Constantine. Randy, Black Delegation, is this a massive win for British Black people?
Correct.
Do we need to find a British Black person to be part of the Black Delegation to bring it on home?
Look,
Gatwa is Scottish.
I will say that I'm not going to cede my position on the Black Delegation, but yes, if we can, by all means, yes, I welcome. And I will say, not only are we potentially, we're getting this Black Doctor Who, we have Black Constantine, so we have a science and magic. We control the horizontal and the vertical, but also Doctor Who could potentially have this Black trans woman as his next companion. So
I didn't know about that.
Rose, the daughter of Donna Noble, if I'm not mistaken, is Rose, who is trans, and she's not just a trans woman playing a cisgender woman. She is a trans woman playing a trans woman. So it's really great that the visibility of us in the nerd space is always like, it's just, there's been so much, we've been here so long, kind of like seeing white protagonists, that it's gonna take a really, really long time before seeing us on screen gets old. I get no shame from saying that. It's gonna take a really long time for it to get old.
Okay. Any final thoughts on Doctor Who?
Gatwa is Scottish, not British, if that means anything.
I'm sure that there are people right now typing their hate tweets, and they're saying it's not I don't have a problem with the fact that he's Black. I have a problem with the fact that he's Scottish. Is what I think is happening.
Honestly, that would be a net positive. If that's the vitriol.
No, that's just what they're saying. That's just what they're saying. That's not.
Like, he can't even do a proper British accent. What good is he?
Jared?
I'll be honest, I don't really watch much Doctor Who, but
fair enough.
Great for the actor.
Got it. All right,
moving on. This could be a big stepping stone. Other doctors who have gone on to big things, huge things.
Yeah, good point.
I'm not sure what's bigger than all of space and time, but yes, sure.
Obviously Marvel, guys. What are you guys doing? Or the Game of Thrones universe, if we're doing that. Additionally, this is even lighter than Doctor Who. Live action Pac-Man, guys. What do you guys think of the fact that there's a Pac-Man movie in the works? I'm not sure what I have thoughts. I have thoughts about what live action Pac-Man can entail, but Jared, you celebrated, so yeah. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'm so thrilled. Chris Pratt is going to be having a
yeah. I'm just picturing Chris Pratt's voice just doing the sound effects from Pac-Man.
I'm just waiting for when they introduce Miss Pac-Man and all the incels are like, oh man, this is so woke.
You made it political. All these ghosts of different colors, they made it political. Like,
I feel like we throw the word live action around, and I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
that is correct, Carlos.
They're going live action Lion King.
That
live
is
action Lion King.
No, you raise a really good point.
No,
I
no,
want to know.
no.
I want to know who the fuck is the live action Pac-Man.
Look,
Like, who's walking around being like, "Hey guys,
I
I'm
dispute
Pac-Man."
this point because I dispute this point because I fully endorse. Like, if they tell me right now that the Pac-Man movie is gonna actually like not be CGI but just fully practical effects.
Oh no! If it's fully live action, I'm in. I'll buy 10 tickets.
I would watch that movie. I would buy 10 tickets. I would see it first day and last day. If
Even
they
if you told me it was like, you told me it was like, it's all Muppets.
Right.
But like, don't tell me it's a live action Pac-Man and then give me nothing else. I mean, I guess maybe they're following the Sonic the Hedgehog / like Chipmunks thing where like Pac-Man will be friend.
I mean, how does that even work? How does that even work? Who is Pac-Man going to befriend? Are we gonna all of a sudden have Pac-Man talking coherent sentences now and befriending people?
Yes. To be fair, there was that Pac-Man cartoon where Pac-Man walked on 2 feet.
That's true.
I would prefer if it was like a guy in like a Pac-Man vehicle,
right?
Like just like driving around, and it's
exactly.
Like, but
I think calling it now, Seth Rogen is Pac-Man. I'm just gonna call that. Like
I'm not sure whether that happens, but again, if it's practical effects, I'm here for it. He's in a big round Pac-Man thing, and like even better, you can like see him operating the Pac-Man shots from inside.
I mean, I hate to spoil it for you, but it's actually Awkwafina as Pac-Man.
But she has to be Miss
Pac-Wafina. No, Pac-Wafina. No, she's
Pac-Wafina.
No, it's Pac-Wafina. She's going around. Yeah, you're probably right. She's Miss Pac-Man.
I totally see Seth Rogen just like the voice. I can totally see Pac-Man just sounding hungry.
I mean, look, we had a couple of years ago, they released a movie, which, if I'm not mistaken, was based around like friends playing a game of tag competitively.
Yes,
I do remember that.
So I feel like it could, like, I mean, and we got a Barbie movie on the way, which looks so off the rails and so fun, and I am absolutely here for it. So by all means, surprise me with this weird unhinged thing that I can just turn my brain off and just enjoy the madness. Like, I'm here for it. I'm not, I wasn't originally kind of feeling it, but by all means.
I mean, can't you just being like, I have to eat all these pills, or else the ghosts will
If this were a Warner Brothers movie, it would be The Rock as Pac-Man and Kevin Hart is one of the ghosts. But
as all of the ghosts, he's voicing all of them.
Kevin Hart would be the little dots that they have to eat.
So stay tuned. We're gonna make more Pac-Man jokes because why not? Staying in the realm of ridiculous adaptations, news broke today that Kenya Barris will be doing a reimagining of The Wizard of Oz. Not sure that it's going to be called Ozish, but it's going to be called Ozish on our show.
Or Wizish. It's
Wizish.
See, no, here's the thing. We don't know that it's a musical. If it was a musical, it would be Wizish. But because we don't know it's a musical, it's Ozish. We can assume that everyone's light-skinned. And yeah, I mean, clearly the Wicked Witch is going to be dark-skinned. Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah.
But I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who are against this. This is going to be Warner Brothers, so not coming out for streaming.
Wait, so Warner Brothers is putting out a black-run Wizard of Oz production? Alleged Wizard of Oz.
I mean, we already know how this is gonna go. Most of the movie's gonna be done, and then they're gonna be like, "We're restructuring. Oops, sorry, the thing's not happening now."
No, the real answer, the real question that needs to be answered is, who will Ezra Miller be playing in the in the Oz-ish movie?
I feel
Well,
like
no. This is the question that I have to ask for the entire panel. I will start with you, Randy. Which Wizard of Oz character is Ezra Miller playing?
See, now my mind is sort of like fan casting the people from Blackish. So like I got Tracy Ellis Ross as the
Dorothy.
Wicked Witch. But no, she's
okay.
the Wicked Witch. And then we got Anthony Anderson as Cowardly Lion, and we got
I got
Ezra Miller as the Tin Man.
As the Tin Man. Okay. All right.
I'll do that. Yeah.
All right. So Carlos, who's Ezra Miller in your version of Oz-ish?
Ezra Miller is the Scarecrow, rail thin, and easily replaceable.
Oh no.
Easily, like, and now Timothy Chalamet brings in the second half of this film.
So what about you, Jared? Who is Ezra Miller playing in Oz-ish?
Ezra Miller is Toto because he's in every scene, and they're not going to be able to recast him.
All right. Well, I think that Ezra Miller will be playing the wizard, obviously. And
wait, why is that obvious? No, hold on. I need to hear your train of thought. Why is that obvious?
I mean, they're going to be looking for the wizard, and the wizard has not been found because hey, wizard is out there committing crimes all throughout the land of Oz. Guys, it's pretty obvious.
I think the real question is, who is the Rock playing?
The Rock is the flying monkey. Is that racist?
Wow. I think
no, racist would have been if you had Kevin Hart as the flying monkey.
No, Kevin Hart is clearly one of the Munchkins. The Munchkins. What are we doing? We represent the Lollipop Guild. I
think Dwayne Johnson plays the tornado.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just knocking stuff over.
So yeah, I mean, we solved it, guys. You don't even have to make the movie. We figured it out.
The one that exists in here is already better.
Yeah. Wow, we covered our whole movie. We covered our whole. Oh no, one more story. Not as funny. So you know what? We're gonna save that for next week.
We can make it funny. How unfunny is it? I love a challenge.
All right.
I'm gonna bring up Anne Hesh.
Oh, God.
We're gonna be like, fuck.
All right. So Marvel Studios is considering their own in-house visual effects studio. There's been some backlash, according to a lot of sources, about how tough things are in the visual effects space. And Marvel, I think we did talk about this on the podcast in previous episodes, that this was a possibility, with, if only for NDA purposes. But right after the rumor came out that Marvel was thinking about doing their in-house studio. Any funny thoughts about that, Randy?
I feel like just like DC is now trying to do like their DC Studios thing. Like if that's what it takes to right the ship, then just make it look good. If now we know who to blame. If the movie turns out to not look great, or if the show turns out not to look great, you can't be like, oh well, those people we hired, those outside contractor people no, it was you that time. You didn't pass muster.
Okay. Jared or Carlos, do you have any thoughts about the potential in-house visual effects studio?
This felt immediately like, oh, they don't want anyone to talk anymore.
Yeah,
and that's all this feels like to me, is like, we want to be able to abuse people without them telling people that they're being abused. So that's where I think I come down on it until further notice.
Yeah, and further notice being never going to happen because they would have signed their non-disclosure.
Well, I would say if there is some sort of market improvement in the CG, because the CG has really suffered, I would say in the COVID era at least.
Yeah, but here's the thing: just because the quality of the CG improves doesn't mean the quality of the conditions of the CG workers
very true
have been improved.
Yeah, it might be working because the quality is getting worse. You're right. No, you're right. It'll just be when someone finally gets fired and he was like, let me tell you.
Yeah, which they can't do legally
under their NDA.
Yeah, exactly. But Jared, sorry.
VFX workers just need to unionize. It's really rough what's happening. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad because like as a lawyer, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be totally what I would tell my client to do. Like you're 50% of the visual effects market, so hire them and then make it so that they can never speak out about you. So, you know, like they're not going to want to leave.
So you advise the supervillains is what you're telling me.
I mean, sometimes you have to advise a supervillain so that they don't end up in super prison.
But what? Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Let's
speaking of Ezra Miller. All right, guys. So we're gonna loop back around to where we started, which is racial draft business. I don't know if you heard, but there's a 3-time champion in the fold.
Is it official?
I may have heard of that.
It's official. The first place team, 1,960 points for the Latinx delegation. Second place, 1,642 points for the Black delegation. Thankfully, both of those delegations' leaderships are on the show. Jared, as ostensibly the heir apparent to the Jewish delegation, uphill climb from the 8th spot. You'll be happy to know that the finishing order does correspond to the draft order in the coming season. So the Jewish delegation will have the 3rd pick in the upcoming 5th season.
I like a nice 3rd pick. You know, it's pretty close to the start, but also a little closer to the middle. So, got that nice sweet spot.
Exactly. If you guys have any questions about, I've got the spreadsheet wide open. If you guys want to hear about any specific questions with respect to which characters, did their thing, wide open, listening to whatever things you might want to hear.
Did Batman do okay?
Yeah,
he was all right.
I heard that guy was kind of struggling.
I think he might have scored a 3rd of my points at least.
You know what? More than a 3rd.
Okay.
Sorry, less than a 3rd. Sorry, less than a 3rd.
Less than a 3rd. Oh,
less than a 3rd. So Batman in total ended up with 517 of your 1,960 points. So more than a quarter, but less than a 3rd.
All right.
But remember, next season, everybody gets a Batman. So that's going to be interesting for sure.
Yes.
Everyone's going to have the opportunity to come up with their own creative spins on Batman under their own respective delegations. And what that means is that Batman will no longer be the game changer that he has been in previous seasons. You'll have to do your thing with the other characters you draft. So,
it should be noted that Batman has only won 2 championships in this 4-season.
Yeah, the last 2 championships.
The 2nd and the 4th.
Oh yeah.
Batman was on the White delegation in season 3.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to look back, and I'll report back next week as to which characters have been part of the most winning teams But you know, Batman's a player. He's really helped. Like, did you have Thor in multiple seasons?
No, just this season. No, I had Thor last season. I did have Thor last season.
Yeah,
because before that was Polynesian Thor, right?
No, Polynesian Thor I think might have been season 2.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before
right, but I'm saying like these last 2 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
I think you did have Thor.
Yes.
So you know, that's another guy. Red Hood, of course, you know, in multiple seasons. Randy, do you have any thoughts about any characters you'd like to hear how they performed?
I want to know about, I want to say Nightcrawler and Destiny.
Okay, that's, you know, you went pretty obscure here.
He was prepared at the top of the list. He wasn't ready for.
So Destiny, you know, all things said, Destiny only put up 36 points.
Wow.
So, you know, up there, because honestly, you got a lot of points in bonus points, particularly, you know, through trades and through the supplemental draft.
Yeah.
But, you know, Destiny was up there in one of your, you know, fairly early picks, but not one of your big players. Like,
oh no, I figured he wasn't a big player, but like I don't know. I guess my sort of my consideration here is sort of interest in, I guess, characters that, you know, haven't really been like just kind of suddenly had a new sort of bout of prominence. So it was interesting to me that the potential was there all of a sudden when previously we were like, Destiny who? Like she hasn't been there for a long time.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, now this is disappointing because I'm looking at it right now. I didn't look at it before. So Black Panther, which we love a Black Panther, we love a T'Challa.
Right.
Only 46 points.
Really?
Right. Yeah. That's, I mean, he
was acquired in a trade.
Yeah.
So he only got let me see, he was traded in week 6
that he didn't get.
Yeah. So, you know, only 19 weeks of Black Panther, but you know, that's pretty disappointing.
Disappointing.
Well,
especially when you consider that Catwoman, who was traded for Black Panther, put up 44 points. So just so we remember, T'Challa put up 46 points in 19 weeks, and Selena Kyle put up 44 points in 6 weeks. So that's rough. That's rough. I mean, and we're gonna look at what the white delegation got out of Selena Kyle in the remainder of those weeks. It's starting to make you question whether the trade should have happened. I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, damn.
I mean, weren't y'all
87 points?
Weren't y'all sort
Selena
of the corporate behind the trade? And then now you're like, oh no, maybe.
Listen, I didn't know. I didn't know that that's how it was going to play out. You know, I'm just looking at it. Yeah. I'm looking 87 points for Selena Kyle for the white delegation.
Yeah, and honestly, like all kidding aside, like Black Panther is going through it right now. Like,
yeah, and you know, you didn't get any like bonus points from the movies or anything like that because you know T'Challa is no longer with us in movies.
Yeah.
So you know, I understand. I do hope, you know, this is one of those situations where the sentimental value of T'Challa perhaps, you know, exceeds what we're working with.
I absolutely don't regret getting any of the retained Black characters that I got. My only feeling is that, like, I guess I'm sort of sad about the I don't know, the sort of particulars of the MCU synergy. Like, there's not quite as much of it with the characters that I would like. And so I kind of do wish that we had a little bit more Black Panther, not even particularly points wise, but just like in general, like,
yeah,
just kind of the space that we're going without really having a whole lot of Wakanda stuff going on. So yeah,
there was a bunch of Wakanda stuff last season.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was because, like, was Black Panther 2 originally supposed to come out?
I thought it was
last year.
I thought it was, right? I think they rescheduled it, didn't they?
No, I don't think so. I mean, so to be fair, we should talk about the family chaining, because you did get your T'Chaka family chaining, and you got your Shuri family chaining. So that's that's some more points that you could have gotten. I mean, here's the thing. The season starts in October. Black Panther's coming out in November. I would imagine that from a perspective of bonus points, from perspective of movie points, from all the different Wakanda-based love that, like, the whole emotional attachment of Wakanda and Black Panther. Like, I think that there's going to be a lot in the next season that will come from T'Challa and just the Black Panther mythos that maybe just didn't quite align the way that it could have aligned in this season.
Yeah, I mean, the fandom always has those kind of ebbs and flows and stuff. I am curious also about Nubia.
Oh, Nubia did very well, actually.
She's been everywhere.
Yeah, this was a coming out party for Nubia in the comics, and I want to believe that if they do another, they are doing another Wonder Woman movie, but I want to believe that in the next Wonder Woman movie they find a way to incorporate Nubia. So Nubia put up 85 points, including bonus points. She did not get all the approval points. But 85 points, 75 FCL points and 10 bonus points, for Nubia. That's like, just for clarification, Miles Morales put up 88 points.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, like, again, I feel like I had a particular window here that, like, in previous seasons, we would have been laughing about Nubia just right along like Krakoa. Like, that would have been like, okay, fine, sure, if you want to do that. But now I'm very happy that I was able to grab Nubia, and I'm not particularly sure that there's gonna be a whole lot of momentum, but there's momentum there that was not previously there. So I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, and again, one thing that I want to clarify for the next season, for the benefit of the listeners, but also for your benefit, is that next season, the fan art component is going to potentially be another avenue for bonus points. So to the extent that you guys will find and promote fan art of these characters, that's potentially a lot of bonus points. If you guys are able to find a lot of Nubia fan art, that's a lot of potential bonus points.
And since that redesign, there has definitely been a lot more of the fan art as well as her actual appearances on covers.
Yeah. So it's just another thing to consider. Obviously, it's a little bit arbitrary, and I'm gonna be continuing to focus on the arbitrariness of it all. But, like, obviously, if someone specifically draws a Nubia, that's more points than if someone draws
like a comic art, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll play it out. It'll play out, and I'm gonna like impose some degree of limits. Like if you find like 100 pieces of fan art, you
Right.
probably not gonna get like all of the points, but you might get a fair amount.
Well, we're gonna have to bear in mind that this time around I actually got a little bit of money burning a hole in my pocket, so I might actually
Yeah.
be able to be a good contender this time around.
Yeah, so I mean, look, second place finish is nothing to nothing to look down on. Like,
Yeah.
So Jared, we got to talk about the Jewish delegation. It's definitely going to be I would imagine that strategically, you're going to play things a little bit differently than how, Adam played things for the Jewish delegation. You don't have to reveal too much strategy, but, if you want to ask any questions about some of the Jewish delegation characters, now's a good time.
Yeah, so like I know about some of the, because it's a long list. Like we got Adam Warlock, right?
You did?
We got I'm just trying to think of like characters who, because there's not a super huge there's not a very deep bench of characters.
Well, listen, you guys got Peter Parker.
We do have Peter Parker. That is I mean, especially after No Way Home this year, or this past December.
Yeah. Not in our current season though. Because no way, right. But I get it. But Peter Parker was still one of the top. I mean, he put up 210 points for your delegation.
Yep.
Like strong performer. Like your biggest three characters were Peter Parker, Dick Grayson, and Damian Wayne.
Yeah. Wait, what was that? Sorry.
I said that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like totally makes sense. But like they haven't dated a new. I mean, not that we're gonna get Spider-Man again, but like for the future, that we don't know what Spider-Man's future in the MCU or that looks like. So in that aspect, it's a little uncertain.
I mean, but here's the thing: of the characters, and I mean, if you want me to run it down, I can do it. But like of the characters, like who are the characters that you feel like are the most sort of valued and like that you think might be most targeted in a coming year? Again, not trying to reveal a strategy, but just trying to like talk through.
Yeah. Like, do you think you could run me through some of the characters? Because
sure,
the fact that Damian Wayne was up there was a bit of a surprise for me.
So Peter Parker, Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne, Jane Foster, Jack of Hearts, Nightmare, Maverick, Quentin Quire, Abigail Brand, Sunspot via trade, Legion, Rick Jones, Mr. Miracle, Black Widow, Selene, Mantis, Ant-Man, Exodus, Hercules, Nemorita, Steel, the Penguin, Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch,
all right.
Ironheart, Adam Warlock, Firestar, and then some of the family chains.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right off the bat, Ironheart is probably going to be. I mean, she's getting her start in the MCU in Wakanda Forever.
So here's how I feel about Ironheart, though. Like we talked about this a little bit when she was drafted. Like the fact that she's going to be in Wakanda forever is kind of like a tough beat for the Jewish delegation. You know what I mean? Like she's going to be so closely associated with, you know, with Black people and Wakanda. Like you guys didn't get any bonus points for, you know, for Jewish Ironheart because, you know, people were like, no. You know what I mean?
I mean, you say that now, but when she pulls out that Star of David necklace, you're gonna change your tune.
I'm just bring out a Star of David instead of a.
No, but I also will add here that like this season coming up, we haven't quite addressed it, but I won. We got rid of the budgeting that we had to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, rather than kind of like the back and forth of trying to figure out not just, I mean, like basically saying that you no longer have to sort of settle for who your choice is. There's less settling. Now we're able to kind of more directly get like the person we actually wanted and not really have to worry about too much in the way of challenging that. So
no, well,
no,
just to clarify, challenges are still there. Like
I mean,
okay.
I mean the challenging as far as like the counter bidding and all of that stuff.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we get a more direct sort of line to what it is we want. Like, obviously, there's going to be some people who are ahead of us in line or what have you that, you know, we have to come up with contingencies, but it won't be quite as much of a sort of battle in terms of like, oh, am I going to outbid this person? Are they going to try to like, you know, are they going to make a move to try to like get me to up my bid or whatever?
No, for sure, yeah. I mean, but I do think that what, you know, where the strategy is going to come into play, especially now that, you know, those of us like have been, you know, playing this game for multiple seasons, is that like, you know, you're going to draft a character. And then, you know, there's going to be the question of the approval rating. And then there's going to be the question of the, you know, if you can come up with a backstory and also fan art, you know, like at that point, it becomes like you can get the character, but if you're not going to do anything with the character or the you know, the audience isn't going to respond positively to the character, then, you know, you may find yourself you know, not getting the most out of your draft pick than if you draft a character that, you know, resonates with people.
Right, that's more than fair, I think. And you know, we had the sort of the bidding aspect, but then we also kind of had like Adam's brain just kind of like picking faves, not necessarily caring too much about the strategic part. So, you know, for Jared to be stepping into that role, and you are stepping into the role of doing the drafting, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
And
so,
you know,
you have me.
yeah. I mean, and you know, I haven't completely worked through like the trading aspect. Trades are still going to be a thing. You know, I'll try to figure out the best way to make trades work. You know, so, but ideally, you know, we want people to draft as best as they can, especially in the first 10 rounds of the draft. You know, this is still a work in progress, to be honest, but you know, I think what we're going to do is that we're going to have, you know, next season, that's where we're introducing our keeper aspect. So for the first 10 rounds, none of those characters can be kept. But for the last 15 rounds, those characters can be kept. So, you know, it's gonna be strategic in terms of deciding whether you want to draft characters who you think are going to score the most points for you that you might not be able to keep versus the characters that you want to draft and keep close to the vest in subsequent seasons.
Yeah.
So that's another strategic element.
And I would say Jared,
Yes.
well, the game. And I would say that the rookie mistake is focusing on movies and TV shows.
Yep.
The point in the comics. So the movies and TV shows are nice, and they actually can inform the comics in terms of like, Multiverse of Madness is coming out. America Chavez suddenly gets more comic appearances or whatever. But
that synergy.
Yeah, but in terms of chasing points through movies and TV shows, like you'll be chasing it forever. You'll never find the point.
The movies only come out every year, a couple of years, and the shows only last like 6 weeks, and you only get so many dribbling sort of points from that. So definitely the comics are a weekly thing.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to that more often.
Yeah. And the other thing is that like what you really want to be thinking is holistically about like who, especially, with respect to what we're doing with fan art and with potential backstories. If you can get people to actually care about these characters, like that's probably like the real like cheat code.
Buying into it of it all.
Like obviously there are certain characters like we talked about before, like someone like Magneto, who's like a Jewish character that like might like deserve to like remain a Jewish character. There's going to be more benefit in the upcoming season to retaining a character like that. But additionally, if you can figure out a new character to join the delegation and to have people like agree with that pick, there's going to be a lot of bonus points, in that respect.
Like when you were listing off a couple of those members of the bench that we got, Penguin was one that I could see. Like you like say, I don't want to like, strategize too much, but like say like just for example, he's a part of the Jewish mafia or something like that. Like that could be a way I can work that sort of thing into it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like, one of the things that we talked about was that like, maybe like the Cobblepots were like a Jewish family who like pretended to be, part of some like, old school.
Like,
exactly. And, like that's
last name.
Like it's just like it's just very like a very slight twist. But like if you incorporated that change into the character, it would add something but not take anything away from the character. And
just more layers.
Exactly.
I'm going to say now that I've won 3 times and I've won in the drafting in a row, the snake draft. I've won in the auction draft. I'm sorry, the bid draft. And so for this next season, I'm stepping away. I'm not going to be the Latinx delegate.
What?
Yep. I'm not going to step away from the podcast, but I have talked to, hopefully he's still a yes, but I talked to Jaden from Agents of Fandom, who is excited. So hopefully he'll still be excited in October. It's a long way away, I guess. But I want to be able to be there for the new people we're bringing in and help everyone. And so I'm trying to get people more delegates in. So I want to be able to be kind of a help for all the newcomers. So I will
So here's what I gotta ask, Carlos. Does that mean that you might potentially be doing fan art for all the delegations?
Yeah. I mean, I did fan art for people.
Yeah.
Usually it was part of a trade.
Trade.
Yeah, I'll if I have if I have the time to do fan art, I will for everyone. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Yep. We gotta talk about it.
Oh,
but,
great. So Carlos has beat the game. He's already leveled up to level 100, and now he's like, oh well, game's not fun anymore. Let me go ahead and just move aside. Okay. So if I end up getting first place now, I'm gonna end up just beating like the newcomer little acolyte person who just came in. That's a very hollow victory. I see you had to get in your last little insult there. I see.
And anybody who wants to ask me if for advice or anything, I'll be there for every delegation. That was
that is awesome. that is great. I endorse all of that. No, this is what we're all about in the racial draft. We're all about new blood. Listeners, I mean, I know we talked a lot for the last however long, but if you're interested in like coming in, Carlos just mentioned it, new blood, new people for new well, maybe the same delegation, because 10 is a good number, but if you could make a case for new delegations, we'll at least entertain it. But if you would like to help out the existing delegations, do your part. Hit me up, MTFII on Twitter, Racial Draft Pod on Twitter. Everybody, let people know what your various social media platforms are. I'll start with you, Carlos.
I'm at Carlos Freites JR on Twitter. You can also find my articles on agentsoffandom.com.
And Randy?
I'm on Twitter at RandyS0725, and I use the hashtag superpowerlist.
And Jared?
You can find me on Twitter at Jared Kirsch _, and you can
spell that out real quick.
Oh yeah, KIRSCH.
Okay.
Yep. And you can find me publishing a couple articles here and there for Murphy's Multiverse.
Cool. And you can find me at MTFIII. I'm here on the podcast. I also occasionally publish stuff on Murphy's Multiverse. I will maybe start publishing some things on Agents of Fandom, but stay tuned. But
coming out this week. I've been writing it for 3 weeks. It is nearly 5,000 words. Woo. It is so many words.
Nice.
Yeah, I ranked every villain of every MCU project up to from Iron Man to She-Hulk. Well, not She-Hulk, but Iron Man to Miss Marvel.
Cool. But listeners, this is where we're gonna leave it. But don't worry, we will be back next week. The season's over, but we're gonna be continuing to do off-season discussions. We're gonna talk about all the nerd news. We're gonna preview the direction that we're gonna go in season 5. Hopefully you're with us on this journey. Hopefully we'll have some new voices as I continue to recruit new voices for the upcoming season. It's going to be great, guys, and you want to be on board for this. So guys, listeners, until next time, all things are possible.